Hello and welcome to the Old Man Sailing YouTube channel. I'm John Passmore and here we are in the North Atlantic Ocean. This is what I do. I sail long distances alone. I've crossed the Atlantic 6 times by a variety of different routes, and I'm about to do it a 7th. So obviously I spend a lot of my time hundreds of miles from the nearest land. And this means that if I were to be injured or my appendix were to flare up suddenly, then it might take some time for a ship to reach me and some more time for that ship to get within range of a helicopter to take me to hospital. And by that time, it may be too late. So you might expect that I would carry a stock of powerful antibiotic drugs. However, on this boat, there are no pharmaceutical products whatsoever, not even an aspirin. This is because 11 years ago, I turned my back on modern medicine. Now, don't get me wrong. If, when I reach my destination, I get run over by a bus, then certainly call an ambulance, give me a shot of morphine, and mend my broken bones. No, what I'm talking about is the everyday, the everyday sort of thing that happened to me 11 years ago. I banged my elbow, and after a week or so, the bruise was still hurting, so I went to the doctor. And the doctor said, yes, the bruise has become infected. And he gave me a course of antibiotics. But he warned me that because I'd had so many over the previous year, they might not work. And they didn't. A week later, the whole arm was a sort of purple color, and I ended up in hospital. And I sat there and I thought, I'm 66. I'm in hospital because I banged my elbow. And that is the sort of thing that happens to old people. But then maybe I was an old person. Already I had arthritis in my hands. What else was I going to get? Was I going to get heart disease? Was I going to have a stroke, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's? You name it. All these diseases which old people get and which the doctors cannot cure. Or they give them pills. But the pills are to address the symptoms. In fact, in the UK, the average pensioner takes at least 5 medications every day. And I thought, that can't be a good thing. So I started to look into alternative treatments for arthritis. Now, I had been taking glucosamine, but it certainly wasn't working because I still had all the pain. But what I found was that glucosamine is made from the ground up shells of crabs and lobsters. Note, you cannot digest crab and lobster shells. That's why they give you an empty dish for them. So, what the pharmaceutical companies do is they give you a great deal of it so that you can absorb a small amount. In fact, you can buy a glucosamine tablet with 3,500 milligrams of the stuff, and it's very expensive. Yet it turns out that you're supposed to make glucosamine in your own body from the nutrients in your diet, and it wouldn't cost you anything at all. But that is the problem, isn't it? Because the nutrients in our diet, our food, come from farms. And the farmers have been cultivating the same land for generations. Every time they take the produce away from the land, they are withdrawing nutrients from it. Now, obviously the farmers understand this, and so they replace the nutrients. And their most popular fertilizer is called NPK. And that stands for the chemical symbols for nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. And this particular combination of elements produces a bumper crop. I mean, they are getting 3 times the yield they would otherwise. And this is good news for the farmers because they get paid by the ton. If they got paid by the nutrient, it wouldn't be such good news. In fact, the Ministry of Agriculture in the UK produced a report, and it said that European farmland had been depleted of its mineral content by 70%. In North America, the figure's even higher. That means if you eat a potato today, you're only getting 30% of the magnesium, 30% of the selenium, and so on. Just look up soil depletion. And come to that. That's where your obesity crisis comes from, isn't it? Somebody is hungry, they eat a plate of potatoes. The stomach gets the potatoes and it thinks, oh, what have we got here? Carbohydrate. Oh, look, more carbohydrate. And the stomach calls up the brain and says, actually, I was hoping for some magnesium, for the bones. And the brain calls up the mouth and says, look, we didn't get enough magnesium in that last potato. Can you eat some more? Result, an overweight population. Of course, people who are intelligent, who understand these things, they take supplements. Your local health food shop is full of supplements for all sorts of things. But for instance, if you look at the label on an iron supplement, you may see the words ferrous oxide. Now, ferrous oxide is rust, and you're not supposed to eat rust. What is supposed to happen for you to get your iron is that a rusty old horseshoe lies in the field for hundreds of years, and gradually the iron in the horseshoe leaches out into the soil. A potato growing next to the horseshoe sends out its roots and attempts to absorb the iron, but at that stage it is still in its metallic state. So the potato adds a hydrogen atom and turns it into what is called a chelated mineral, the kind which can be absorbed by a potato or by a person eating that potato. And in this way you can get 100% of the iron into your system. Once I understood this and started taking my minerals in a plant form, my life changed completely. I don't have pain from arthritis anymore. I don't wear prescription glasses anymore. I don't have brown liver spots on my hands. Haven't had a headache for a decade. And the last time I needed any dental work was in 2019. I can tell you, I'm not getting old anymore. And believe me, I wouldn't be out here on my own with no antibiotics if I didn't know that I was going to be all right with the plant-derived nutrients. I have a large stock of them. Oh, I might still cut myself. But if the wound looks as though it might be becoming a little red around the edges and there might be an infection starting up, I simply triple my intake, because you can do that with a natural supplement. You can't overdose on them any more than you can overdose on a cabbage. With antibiotics, it's all rather different. Do not exceed the stated dose and all that sort of thing. So, if you have a long-term condition and your doctor is giving you pills, which are not curing it and may not even be particularly helpful with the symptoms, then maybe it's time to ask yourself, is there a better way? Now, this is serious stuff, suggesting that you might ignore what your doctor is telling you. But the doctors have been trained to tell their patients you must keep taking the tablets. And, well, you are getting older. And the patients have been conditioned to trust their doctors and to expect an old age full of pain and misery. Or you could say, no, that's not for me. And this is such an important decision that it is something you are going to have to research. You're going to have to look into this exhaustively, find out all you can about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't expect you to have the confidence to ignore your doctor's advice. So, have a look at the internet, find out all you can about soil depletion. I have a website where I explain much more about my story, how it came about, what I'm taking, all that sort of thing. It's called oldmansailing.com. Have a look at the Good Health page. If you have any questions, please get in touch. And in the meantime, I'd better get busy because, as you may have noticed, it's getting quite windy out here. And although the boat seems to be doing rather well by herself, I do think I ought to give her a bit of a hand. So, goodbye for now.